tried and has sold.
Don't let this happen to you. Do not be me. Buying used phones is a great option. It's an amazing way to get the latest tech and save some money. And we do it, and I do it all the time, but I've been burned in the past. Most recently, I bought a Galaxy S20 online. It showed up completely bricked. The phone wouldn't turn on at all. And it's not the first time that that's happened. So I started thinking about things that I could do better, sort of minimize my risk, whether I'm buying a new phone or a used phone online. I'm not talking about the Craigslist online where you meet somebody face to face. That has certainly its own style of risk go along with it, but marketplaces, so Swappa, Mercari, eBay, and a ton of others. There are steps you can take, questions you can ask, whether you're buying used or new, to minimize the risk of getting a phone from somebody else. So let me help you guys get the best deal on your new tech. All right, so here's a typical listing for a phone. In this case, it's an iPhone 11. You can see a description, you can see pictures of it. It's got a really good price point, and you're thinking that this is going to be your next phone. But hold up, there's a lot of questions and problems here with this listing. So the first thing is who the seller is. And a lot of platforms give seller rankings. People who bought stuff from them in the past can go ahead and leave usually stars and some feedback. Every great seller eventually sold their first phone, but it doesn't have to be to you. I would never buy a phone from anybody that didn't have at least, let's use a star ranking, at least 4 stars and had sold at least 5 things. It just minimizes your risk generally. So once you find a seller that at least you think you can trust, I think the next thing always you look at is price. Buying things used and online is always a dance of trying to find the best value for the best quality. And those are always kind of balancing those scales. On the lower end of the scale, phones that seem to be selling for prices that are too good to be true, oftentimes they are, or there's something inherently wrong with the device. And for those things, first read the listing through very carefully. Read fine print, even text looks to be auto-filled, especially things like eBay and Swappa sort of fill in text. Read all those to see if there's a disclosure in there that maybe a screen is cracked or the camera's broken, whatever it might be. And you might not care about those things, in which case you're gonna get a great deal, but at least you'll know it going in. And the big thing, if a price appears to be too good to be true for a device that they claim is like new, chances are it probably is. So seller looks good, price looks good. You gotta be able to see the phone as best you can. So photos can also be a really big tell about the quality of the device. Now, some sites like Swappa force any seller to take pictures from every angle. And generally, that's awesome. What I'd wanna see is absolutely every angle of the device, from corners, sides, front, and back, everything I want to see. But there are obviously problems with that too, so I always recommend doing a reverse image search to make sure those pictures aren't being used elsewhere. They're not just generic shots pulled from like 19,000 different eBay listings that sold 4 or 5 months ago. If you don't know how to do a reverse image search, it's pretty easy, but I can put a link down below that can walk you through it. All right, so those are the big things out of the way. You've honed in on a device, the seller seems good, they've shown you pictures on everything, but there are some details and things you still need to do to make sure the device is going to work for you. The big question, and one that I see so many people not ask, is the device locked or unlocked? If it's locked, which means it can only be used with one carrier, is it your carrier? And if it's unlocked, does it have the bands to support whatever carrier you are on? And a lot of times you'll get a better deal on a phone if you buy one that's carrier locked. And as long as you're not planning on switching carriers and it's your carrier, then you know it is going to work for you. And most of the times that's not a problem. I tend to jump carriers quite a lot. Every 2 years or so, I seem to switch between AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and back and forth. So I tend to go for unlocked devices, but usually there's a premium you're paying as well for those devices that'll work on mostly any carrier. So also you need to check to see what your phone is coming with, if anything, whether it's coming in a box, accessories that come with the original phone. All those things are generally good to know. At least you can be aware if you're gonna get a phone that's just like in a bubble wrap envelope. But beyond that, asking questions, things like warranty. So being able to check on if you're buying an iPhone, does it still have Apple Care? Did they buy an extended coverage? That could add value to the phone and also protect you if something comes and it maybe is broken or not how you expected. If it's another manufacturer, those phones also come with warranties. So asking if you are still inside of those manufacturer warranties, that can give you a little more peace of mind. It's also worth mentioning that some sites also let you buy a warranty when you are buying the device itself. So that also costs money certainly, but it does kind of hedge your bet, making sure you're gonna get a device that's going to work for you. Another big thing to look out for is activation lock, and that's on iPhones and Android devices. And oftentimes it's not like a nefarious thing, it's not a stolen device. People just forget to log out. Forget to log out of their Samsung account. They forget to log out of their iCloud account. And that means you cannot activate your phone. You will not be able to use it. Even if it comes in perfect condition, you followed all of these steps, you will not be able to use it until the seller logs themselves out. So asking the seller, have you logged out? And having a record of asking that question, at least give yourself a better chance of getting a device that when you open it up, it's going to work when you put your SIM card in. I know a lot of these steps sound paranoid, but you can even go a step further and you can request the IMEI number of the phone. And again, some platforms require the seller to put this in anyway. It's a unique identifier for your phone to make sure that that is a clean phone, meaning it hasn't been reported stolen, somebody actually bought it and owns it, and presumably it will probably work for you when you get it in. So these are all things you can do to like protect yourself a little bit more. Just add like a extra inch of protection sort of on that wall around you, but none of them are foolproof. Kind of the last step that you can do is make sure that when you actually purchase a phone, you're using some sort of payment method that's not straight cash, something like PayPal, where you have protection as a buyer to make sure if you get something wrong, you can dispute it and usually get that money returned to you. Again, as somebody who's made a lot of mistakes, that's kind of what I do now when I go to buy a phone. And you could pick how paranoid you wanna be, but if you wanna at least give yourself the best chance of getting what you expect, follow these steps. And if there's something else out there that maybe I didn't mention that you do when you buy stuff online, let us know in the comments and we can sort of update this video, or if you wanna know the other side of it, you know, what you can do as a seller to protect yourself from scams of buyers, we can make that video as well. But in the meantime, happy buying. There's a lot of really good deals to be had out there if you just know how to protect yourself.